The village of Redzikowos, northern Poland. The 400 people living here have suddenly found themselves in the epicenter of resurrected tensions between East and West. It is here that the US plans to build its anti-missile shield, which they say will protect them and Europe from hostile missile attacks. Russia is only 200 kilometers away from here, and Moscow is not pleased with having a former Warsaw Pact member now hosting US missiles. In their view, the shield would disturb the military balance in Europe, and they have already displayed plans for pointing their missiles towards Poland. But Warsaw decided to agree on the American plan, and in Redzikowo people are worried. Emilia Wozniak is not in favor of the shield.
Obawiam się o przyszłość swoją, o przyszłość swoich dzieci. Są obawy, na pewno tak. Tylko, tak jak mówiłam, po prostu to jest na takiej zasadzie. Tutaj 90% ludności jest przeciwna tworzeniu tarczy antyrakietowej. Od początku nie mieliśmy na to żadnego wpływu. Były tutaj różne pikiety, były różne demonstracje. Przeszkadza mi to, że będzie blisko szkoły i że będzie blisko tutaj naszych zabudowań.
A small fence seals off the empty military base from the rest of Redzikowo. But in 4 years, 500 American soldiers and their families could be stationed here. These barracks is the point where the actual ramp of the missiles will be, and over there, a few hundred meters away, the local school. And outside the school, a new water park and indoor sports center is what Redzikowo gets for hosting the shield. But the new constructions have not convinced the villagers. Tadeusz Krajnik and Andrzej Kotlicki have both been opposed to the shield since the plans were first presented.
Wiesz, ja to jestem przeciwny, tak jak ambasador Stanów Zjednoczonych kazał sobie przygotować pytania. Właśnie mu przygotowałem pytanie między innymi takie, że te wyrzutnie mają stać 250 metrów koło naszej szkoły.
Więc to jest następny dowód jak gdyby ignorancji ze strony rządu, która nie interesuje się społeczeństwem lokalnym, gdzie no, ja liczę na około 100 000 ludzi zagrożonych.
Nas się nie informuje w mediach, tylko cały czas kłamstwo, kłamstwo, kłamstwo i kłamstwo jest.
Ja nie potrafię zrozumieć, że w dobie rozkwitu demokracji w Polsce jest jak gdyby na jej wstępie swoisty zamach, totalne unicestwienie tej demokracji.
Several attempts have been made by both Warsaw and Washington to change the opinion in Redzikowo. The American ambassador to Poland was here in October saying that villagers had nothing to fear from the missile shield, and he promised that the school would not be disturbed. But the Russian threat is a matter of concern for Poland, and in the agreement with the US, Warsaw has been promised Patriot missiles to shore up their defenses.
Oczywiście, jak wspominamy, lata historii, sojusznikiem głównym był Związek Radziecki. Gdzie mamy teraz brać w roli go przeciwnika, no jest raczej nie do przyjęcia. Ja powiem tak, to jest gra polityczna. Jeżeli my mamy sobie stworzyć własnego wroga w postaci Rosjan, to jest kolejne nieporozumienie. Dziwnym jest jak gdyby faktem sięgać po sojusz z Atlantyku, gdzie mamy wsparcie potężnej Europy. Myśmy poszli, nie wiem, w imię Boga, po co tam.
It was here in Warsaw that Poland signed the deal in August. As Russia entered South Ossetia, the last doubts of Prime Minister Tusk and his administration was swept away. 10 American missiles was now agreed to be placed in Poland before 2012. Together with a radar station in the Czech Republic, they will form a shield protecting Europe and the US. At the University of Warsaw, we meet Professor Krzysztof Michalek.
Polish public opinion doesn't understand arguments, American arguments, why we should accept missile defense system here in Poland, although it is not our problem, it is problem of American-Iranian relations.
But it has become a Polish problem. The NATO expansion in Eastern Europe is being looked at with growing unease in Moscow.
As more aggressive Russian or expansive Russian politics would be toward neighbor countries here from this part of Europe, toward Baltic countries as well as Ukraine and also Poland, as more not only anti-Russian attitude would be visible here in Poland, but also a kind of expectations that somehow and someone should assist us, and this someone is well defined, the United States.
The time under Soviet rule is still an unhealed wound in Poland. Post-World War II history has a major place in the public debate, and the resistance movement that fought the communists are hailed as heroes.
Poles and Polish leaders believe that the United States doesn't matter what party, what government is there, the United States will not betray Poland, as it happens in relations between Poland and France, Poland and Great Britain and so on. So therefore Polish leaders think, let's have a close military cooperation with the United States. Since they are trustful partners, we can build up our security in a long-term perspective mainly on them.
Poland has a history of being conquered. In the borderland between East and West, it has for centuries been in the track of other states' expansions. It was once one of the largest countries in Europe, but the Swedish invasion marked the beginning of a downfall that would eventually erase Poland from the map. At the end of World War II, the country had been occupied by alien states for nearly 300 years, and during the war 6 million Poles were killed. So when in 1989 Moscow finally lost its grip on the country, Poles were determined to make their future different from their past. In a cafe outside the university, Agata, Piotr and Jakub discussed their country's situation.
We are the part of the Western world, and we must do everything, in my opinion, to defend our connection with Western world.
That this is up to Russia, what our relationship can be, good or bad. I mean, we are open for discussion, for negotiation, for diplomacy.
That's right.
And this is Russia who started being, let's say, aggressive, and this is an example of Georgia.
Yes.
I totally agree with the war in Georgia. That showed how they want to make their politics with the different countries. So.
This is what is happening, and which is making relationship with Russia worse. So it's just a threat, and we need to act as an independent country, not being aware of those threats, and not really. We can't really run our diplomacy to satisfy Russia.
Maybe people in the Western Europe don't understand this because they had never have communism. They had never have somebody who was telling them what they should do, and we had that experience. So that's why I think we need help from United States. Other European countries, then they don't know the danger from the east. They, for example, some countries as France or as Germany, they are trying to build some very warm relations with Russia, and that's a mistake. It is impossible.
But far from the cafe in Warsaw, the villagers in Redzikowos are of a different opinion. They are not convinced that their government is leading the way towards a safer future. The proximity to Russia has made people living here think twice about whom Poland should have as its ally.